Okay, so now we're going to go into setting up the motion tracker. Okay, so we're going to set up doing the motion tracker inside of the video clip. So we're going to keep the video clip selected like we have it, and we're going to go to tracker. Now, if you don't see this tracker, you can go up to the main menu and click and get that menu up. Just to be clear, I'm in the default setup, and which is why I can see it. Okay, so I'm just going to click on it, and these are going to be a few steps, so you're going to want to watch this first. So this is tracker, and I'm going to just go ahead and bring this up to fit. I'm going to click on tracker. So see what happens, and this is really important because what happened is I went inside of composition and the layer tab came out. If you don't see that, it might mean that you haven't selected this layer, the video track layer, or that your tab for your layer tracker is underneath here or something. So a couple of people had a little strange setup, and so this was like underneath. So I want to make sure that it's something that you just look at. But you can see that it's here, which is why I can see my tracker point. Now I have to move that because I actually want this to go over this paddle border. And I also will show you now that the motion tracker is in here because again, we selected it. So when we hit motion tracker, track motion, it went right into that layer for us. But now we need to move this. And that sort of gets a little serious. And it's important that you understand this part. Okay? So I'm just going to select all of this because I want to get all of this. But I want you to see that as I move my mouse, I'll see a move setting, a move symbol. And when I see that move symbol, I need that to show in order for me to move it. If I try to move it without that symbol, I'm going to make a big mess. So I really want you to get that as I roll over, I see the move tool. And that tells me, okay, I can move this. If you don't see the move tool, do not move it like here and expect it to work. It's not going to work. You have to have them roll over it until you see the move tool and then move it. Okay? And then hopefully all three things, that the outer, the inner, and the point have all come with you. Okay? And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just move that over a little bit, is I'm going to pull the outer, um, the outer frame and just cover the surfer or the paddle border. I can pull it really big, but the truth is it's just going to be taking up space, meaning difficult to play, and I don't need to do that. I just need to make sure I have them. Okay? And I do. And now I want the inner square or rectangular shape to cover his shorts. Okay? And then I want the point here to be right where the elastic or the waist, his waist. Okay? So once you have that, you are going to go to options, and you want to make sure that you have your tracker 1, that your RBG is set, your subpixels is fine, and your adapt feature, if confident, is below 80%. Okay? So once you have that, click OK. And then, and remember, I keep my playhead up here. I just think it's a good rule of thumb, unless you're putting it in a place for any particular reason, for a particular reason. And so um, once I have that, I'm going to click on Analyze Forward to actually do the tracking that I wanted to do. So I'm going to click on it now. And as it's moving, you see how the playhead is moving? So I'm not doing that. That's happening because I clicked on the Analyze Forward. So it's analyzing this footage and it's setting up a series of keyframes, which are going to be really important to what we're doing. Now, if this becomes way off while this is happening, I can stop it and reposition it if I need to, but I'm not because it looks fine. I'll see a little bit of oscillating up and down, but it's not major like over here or something. And now it's done, and I can see that tracking. That's what you should be able to see. Okay? And again, you see where we are, right? We're on the layer movie, um, because when I clicked on the movie layer and brought and chose MotionTracker, it immediately opened this up for us. Okay, so now I have the tracking, right? I can see that tracking around. And if I open up my MotionTracker, I can see my tracker, and I can see all the tracker points, including my feature center, my confidence, my attachment, my attached point. All of those have keyframes, and I love keyframes because I can adjust keyframes, I can delete them, I can move them, I can do all kinds of things with it. And so it's converted it or added these tracking points for me, which I get really excited about. Okay, so now that I have that, I am going to go and move to doing um, a null. So to do that, this is a very important, I'm gonna uncheck, so I was selecting the paddleboard, but now I don't want the paddleboard selected because I'm gonna go to layers, new, and go to my null object. Okay, so I didn't want everything selected because I wanted to be able to see it. All right, and I'm gonna label it. So I'll right click just so that you can see me right click and hit rename, but I could have hit return. Okay, and I'm gonna call this paddle tracker. Okay, it's a null shape. Okay, it's a null object. And with that in mind, I'm gonna select it. I'm gonna come up here back to my tracker, and I'm going to edit track, edit target rather. And so it already has there my paddle tracker. I'm gonna say that's the layer I want. Yes. And then I'm gonna click apply. With apply, I want to make sure that it says X and Y. I don't want it to say X only or Y only. X and Y is up and down and side to side, right? So your Y is up and down and your X is across, back and forth. Okay? So you want both. And when I click OK, I have that. Let me make sure I'm clicking on the right thing. Let me come back to my tracking point and my features. And there's my null. So my null, I clicked on my null, and right here, I can see the null is here. So this is the motion tracking, and then this is the null that's now attached to it. Okay? All right. And you can see now that the null is moving along with it, which is really good news. Okay? Now I'm going to just switch to my paddleboard video here, or composition here, because I'm wanting to make sure is my paddle tracker. Right, I wanted to make sure I didn't have to parent it to my paddleboard, but by doing, I'll go back to the right one, but by doing that connection, now it's together, it's with it. And so that's perfect, and I'm really happy. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm now going to click off both of those because I'm going to put a shape on here. I'm going to do elliptics. I'm going to choose elliptis, and I'm going to choose my color and my stroke at 0. But I do want to show you something because I notice a lot of students do this. So I made a point to say that I clicked off of my 2 layers here. Okay, if you stay on there, when you go to select your elliptis, first of all, you'll see you have an immediate problem because you don't see your colors, right? The other thing that you also will notice is that you have this on, so what you're really telling After Effects is, yes, I want to create a shape, but it's going to create it as a mask because you have a layer selected already. So you have to remember to click off of all your layers. Click inside the gray area or the black area when you click onto this tool, because a few things will happen. You'll see your colors, your stroke and your fill, but you'll also not have to worry about accidentally making a mask inside of a layer that you don't need to have a mask in. So to continue, your stroke should be at 0, right? And then your fill, the fill is blue. I'm not upset if you choose another color, but choose something that would go well with it, or just choose blue. Keep it simple. The other thing that you need to do is to click on the actual word, FILL. So I'm going to click on that because that is where I have my fill options. I'm going to make sure I'm on the solid color versus my linear gradient or my radial gradient. So you have to be on solid. I changed my normal to overlay, right? And I changed my opacity to 6. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to click OK. So I have I've changed my fill settings. I have my fill color. My stroke is at 0. So I'm ready to go. And so I'm just going to click onto my stage and drag my circle across my paddler. Okay, and we see that the shape, um, the shape layer comes in. And I'm going to go ahead while I can and parent that to my paddle tracker. Okay. And with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and click on paddle shape layer 1 and go up to edit and hit duplicate, because I'm going to use that later when I set up my text. So I'm going to lock that and I'm going to hide that. I'm going to back to shape layer 1. I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna hit rename, but I could have hit enter, and I'm just gonna call this effect. And with that, I'm gonna do a couple other things. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna put in blend mode. Here's blend mode. And I'm going to put layer styles. I'm sorry, not blend mode. Layer styles, and I'm going to choose bevel and emboss. And then I'm going to go to, because now it's inside of my layer, and I'm going to change bevel and emboss. I open it up versus minimize it, right? And I'm going to put the depth on 329%, and then click off of it. And I'm going to do my size at 50, because remember, I'm just beveling that circle. Okay, so there's my bevel. So now that that's done, I'll minimize that to make things easier for me. And this is now going to follow that because I have it parented, right? I have it parented to my paddle tracker. Okay, so in the next video, I'm going to use this second shape layer to create a mask actually, and I'm going to also create for my text. Okay.